Good morning and or afternoon to you wherever you are, and welcome to today's industry pitch day session for our spring 2023 agriNEXT cohort. My name is Benita Matthew. I'm the program manager for agriNEXT here at Foresight Canada, and I'm really excited for you to join us today to hear the pitches of our current cohort on agriNEXT, chat a little bit more about their products and solutions. It is with gratitude and respect that we acknowledge that the lands on which Foresight operates are the traditional unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Just to quickly go over the agenda, we will have some welcome remarks from our agriNEXT director, Craig Hughes, as well as an overview of agriNEXT, as well as then going into speaker introductory remarks from Farm Credit Canada, who is a funding partner of agriNEXT, before we go into our pitches. We have 7 wonderful companies today that will be pitching to you, and then have some closing remarks around 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. So a little bit about Foresight. Foresight is Canada's clean tech accelerator. In collaboration with our Helix 5 TM collaborators, innovators, industry, investors, government, and academia, Foresight is relentlessly driving clean tech innovation in Canada. Our audacious goal is that Canada is going to become the first G7 country to reach net zero. Our mission is to accelerate the growth and impact of clean tech ecosystems across Canada to achieve deep decarbonization and net zero climate targets through problem-driven innovation. We accelerate clean tech through a couple of different ways: accelerator programs, innovation challenges, capital attraction, export development, and ecosystem building. We're quite proud of our impact, and since 2015, our work has led to supporting over 1,000 companies, as well as 55 innovation challenges in different areas of clean tech, $1.48 billion in capital support, over 7,000 clean green jobs, and over $439 million in revenue generated. And perhaps then I can hand it over to our director, Craig Hughes, to make an introduction to himself and chat a little bit more about agriNEXT.
Hey, thanks, Benita. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this event. Should be a fun session here today. At agriNEXT, we're all about driving growth and scaling of Canadian clean tech ventures on two fronts. So we want to really drive them in to have positive greenhouse gas emissions reductions, and also have an economic benefit for our agri-food industry. And I think what you'll see today is 7 companies that are all looking to address that, and in both areas. So it should be good. Thankfully, if we can keep rolling on the slides, Benita, I'm kind of ahead of where we are there. Thankfully, we're supported by some incredible partners across Foresight, for agriNEXT in particular. Our main partner there is FCC, so Farm Credit Canada. Some of you might be familiar with them in terms of some of the work that they do supporting farmers and producers, typically through financing. But they're way more than that, in my opinion. They're a massive supporter of agriculture in Canada and the agri-food sector in Canada. They have a huge network. They bring a lot of different kind of elements to the table in terms of resources and community, and again, a massive supporter, not just for us at agriNEXT, but agriculture in general across Canada. And so I'm very pleased to introduce Darren Sauer, who from FCC, to say a few words. Over to you, Darren.
Great, thanks, Craig. Real pleasure to be here. Super excited to represent Farm Credit Canada and bring some greetings and remarks in advance of some fantastic pitches that I'm sure we're gonna see. And so I am part of Farm Credit Canada's venture capital group. As Craig mentioned, Farm Credit Canada is a federal crown corporation, similar to BDC or EDC, but our focus is Canadian agriculture, coast to coast to coast, not just people that grow crops or milk cows, but also companies that provide inputs into those producers, or that add value to products and services that our producers provide. So we support the entire value chain. The vast majority of our business is lending to those producers and businesses, but we do have a venture capital arm. We've had one for over 20 years. And so that might surprise some people because most of the time FCC is known as Canada's largest provider of lending solutions and knowledge to the Canadian ag space. But in our venture capital program, we are committed to fostering innovation and advancement in the Canadian ag space through investment in venture capital and private equity funds, and by providing financial support to accelerators and incubators. We have over $550 million committed to 17 funds and relationships with 5 different accelerators. And as Bonita and Craig have already mentioned, I'm pleased to say that one of the most important partnerships that we have is with Foresight's agriNEXT program. And as a founding partner, we're just thrilled to be part of what's being built here, and super impressed with the quality of the programming, as well as the quality of the founders and companies that go through these programs. It's just fantastic to see so much momentum and interest in the Canadian ag ecosystem. And in particular, I'm very excited to see the pitches today and to hear from the companies that are presenting. So with that, fantastic thank you from Farm Credit Canada. A real pleasure to be a partner and to be participating in today's event.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Darren. Thanks again to FCC. So just before I hand this back to Bonita to talk us through the format and the pitching order, I just wanted to say to all the investors who are here today, as we get into this, we're obviously looking to support these ventures as much as we can. If you're interested in investing, that's great. Obviously, there'll be connections provided after the meeting, so you can connect directly with them. If you're not interested in investing, please provide some honest feedback. We want to make it as valuable as an opportunity as we can to provide these companies with feedback, questions, comments, concerns that you have around their business. Let's look to help them. Let's try and keep it as positive as we can as well as we go through this, and really support these companies. Over to you, Bonita.
Thanks so much, Craig. So quick run through of the format for today's industry pitch day session. Each company will get the chance to present a detailed presentation pitch to the whole audience, followed by a Q&A opportunity. So company pitch for 3 minutes, and then a Q&A for roughly 5 to 10 minutes, give or take. We will be a bit strict on that, just so that we are just getting along on time for all of our pitches to go through. And if there is a little time left over, we're happy to open the floor again to additional Q&A opportunities. The pitching order will be starting with Cascadia Seaweed, then EcoVolp, Smithereens Mushrooms, Tree Track Intelligence, Maya Farms, Avo Initiative, and then Green Tower Systems. And we can kick off our first company presentation, Cascadia Seaweed. Over to you.
Thanks very much. My name is Bill Collins. I'm chair of Cascadia Seaweed, and I'll present today. My colleague Rob Napoli sitting in the background as well, if you have any questions that we could direct his way. Cascadia Seaweed is a regenerative agriculture company. Our goal is to improve yields while fighting climate change. Farmers today are under immense pressure to improve margins and at the same time prepare for changes to the climate from, as we all know, climate change. Cascadia Seaweed can provide solutions to both of those challenges. We deliver 2 products. The first is a biostimulant. This is not a fertilizer. It is a group of amino acids that come from cultivated seaweed in the ocean and that are presented to farmers as foliar spray or soil drench. It's a $3.5 billion market, growing at a 14% annual growth rate. Of that 3.5 billion, 1 billion is seaweed-derived biostimulants, and 90% of that market comes from wild harvested seaweed, which is also in itself under threat. So we're providing a disruptive solution by making cultivated seaweed available to that market. In addition, we're providing feed supplements for animals. This is a $2.7 billion feed additives market. By providing feed supplements to animals, bovine in particular, we can improve feed efficiencies and reduce methane, avoid methane at the same time. Next slide, please. So Cascadia Plant Health through biostimulants improves yields and reduces abiotic stresses. It results in a reduction of the requirement for fertilizer, nitrogen-based fertilizers to be exact, and including by building the soil microbiome, which includes carbon sequestration. We have seen our products in pilot trials to date, improving margins in farms by as much as 70%. Cascadia Animal Health provides feed supplements to improve feed conversion and therefore improve farmers' margins. It's very important. At the same time, we're seeing improvements in gut health. We do this by growing seaweed on farms in the ocean. These farms are owned by First Nations. We have demonstrated successfully we can produce seaweed at the tonnages necessary. We have a pipeline and a regulatory regime to produce 15,000 tons wet per year, and our partners is listed below. We have a core team and a set of directors that are used to being on the water and are also used to delivering very large scale ag tech. I point specifically to Ed Quilty, who was former head of Aquametrics and who was just released as interim CEO for Semios. Brent Smith, who was a decade with Nutrien, and of course Mike Williamson, our founder and CEO, who has decades of work on the water. In addition, I'll mention we have a suite of phycologists. Those are folks that study seaweed and understand seaweed, as well as marine engineers. So essentially, we're looking for support, and I want to thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks so much to Cascadia Seaweed. Over to our audience to ask if you have any questions.
This is where it always gets a little challenging. It's almost like a steamroller is waiting to happen, because I know everybody's got some questions in the background, but they just don't want to be the first. So excellent. As usual, we can rely on Frank to come through with a hand up there. So Frank, fire away.
Great presentation. That's progressed a lot. So great to see all the progress that's made on the team and the product side of things. Can you tell us a little bit more about the pilots of your biostimulants? Who are you doing them with? What crops? Where? Are you in your first cycle of trials, or maybe your second or third?
Right. So, okay. So we've contracted a clean tech institute called the Vashurin Institute in Nova Scotia, who are experts in biostimulants and other organic materials for crop amendments. We have completed the lab scale for macrocystis, which has a long history of being available for biostimulants in the market. The constituents of macrocystis vary at a local level, but by and large are pretty consistent. So we're piggybacking on work that's already done. We've completed the pilot scale trials, and against other products in the market, macrocystis derived products, we're at the very least as good as they are. The difference being, of course, is that we cultivate our seaweed and they use wild harvest. Next step is pilot scale on crops. We've just done it with mung beans and saw significant growth in root numbers and volume. Next stage for us, as I said, is pilot scale. And this is where it comes in. It's going to be very crop specific. So we're quite happy with the results thus far.
Are you mainly targeting broad acre crops, or are you looking at the controlled environment agriculture where they have a more consistent demand of these type of products and are willing to pay a higher price?
Yeah, we at this time we're looking at a broad spectrum, because the demand in biostim continues to grow across those spectrums. Obviously, greenhouse hydroponics would be an excellent place for us to be because of the controlled environment. But the application rate that we're seeing is quite extensive. So it's really, it would be, we believe it would be quite margin improvement for the farmer to be able to employ this at a broad scale. Plus, we're seeing a really excellent conversion rates in our 1 kilogram of wet seaweed to liters of a seaweed concentrate that can deliver the effectivity necessary across many broad hectares.
Bill, can you tell us a little bit about your raise and where you're at today?
Yes, we have raised quite a bit of money thus far, 10 million to start making sure we had the farms in the water and could demonstrate scale. Today, we're completing a bridge round to get to the venture capital money. We've got 90% of that is finished. So we're looking for angel type investors to complete that round in preparation for the venture capital, in which case we're looking for 10 million over 2 years. A lot of that will be offset by non-dilutive government grants, which we have already commitments for. So we're looking to complete the 60 cents on the dollar that usually goes with the 40 cents committed from government.
Oh, so you got 40%. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, SDTC came through with a 4 million injection on a $13 million project for scaling in the north. Canada has excellent waters in British Columbia. We have an agreement with the First Nation and visibility on 300 plus hectares already licensed. So we've crossed the regulatory hurdle. Now we're in pure scale up mode, and the funds will be used to build a biorefiner, which will deliver both, by the way, both products, both biostimulant as the first product with the residual going as animal feed. And we have beautiful water really next door to the jetty on which we can deliver the biorefinery.
Bill, can you and Rob just chat a little bit about the model you have for, you're helping the farmers start, so you're not putting that on your balance sheet. That's not something that's going to be expense. And then they become the source, but you're really assisting them getting going.
Yeah, we see ourselves as an enabler. We considered almost the barbell strategy where we're looking after the IP, both scientific, genome engineering, those kinds of things, as well as cultivation techniques and engineering in the farming side. And we grow the seed in our own nurseries. The nations will be the farmers, which provides them with economic development opportunity and good, solid, long-term jobs contributing to Canada's clean tech future. And we're developing the markets in biostim and in animal feeds as we speak. We've completed both trials, as I mentioned, on the GROW trials. We've also completed trials with AAFC in animal feeds. The scientists are absolutely giddy about use of seaweed to improve cow gut microbiome. It's a really important solution for the future. So ultimately, in our best of worlds, the First Nations become the operators of the farm, and in partnership with us, we make sure we deliver good science and engineering up front, and as well on the back end marketing. And I haven't even mentioned the opportunity for carbon offsets, which of course nations are very, very interested in participating in, but it's relatively early days, particularly on the biostim side of that.
Thank you.
Do you have any numbers right now on the percentage methane reduction from the animal health supplements?
Yes, in our first round of feeding trials, we had what the scientists will say no observable differences in both feed conversion efficiency or methane. However, we fed only 12 cows, and the diversity of a cow gut is extensive compared to the numbers of feed that we numbers of cows that we fed. So we're in active trials again. The scientists will say we're trending towards methane emissions reduction or methane avoidance. We certainly will have feed conversion numbers. The numbers we're targeting are 10% of methane reduction, 5% inclusion of feed efficiency at a 1 to 2% inclusion rate. If we get those numbers, which we're confident that we will, particularly on feed efficiency, that's going to generate about a megaton of carbon of CO2e avoided by 2035. And cumulatively getting to that stage, that's a year, cumulatively getting to that stage, we will have avoided a significant amount of CO2 through the methane reduction. On the other side, soil carbon sequestration is important. By building the soil microbiome, we believe we will sequester soil carbon at a faster rate, perhaps, than as a reduction of methane through cow burps. This still remains to be seen. The science is young, but we also know of already projects going on in the US where carbon streamers are tracking the results of the use of biostim, the buildup of soil organic matter, and ultimately see carbon offsets in the future of farming.
Excellent. Thanks, Bill. And what's your scaling objective over the next 5 to 10 years, say?
Yes, we have visibility on 1,000 hectares. Today, we're farming 200 to 250 tons from about 30 hectares. So we have visibility on the water to 1,000 hectares by 2028, which should give us access to thousands of wet tons. And we expect to be able to feed, for example, 5,000 animals at those rate, which is small in comparison to the number of animals available. But we also see opportunities in extractive technologies to improve that efficiency. You'd have to ask Rob. I'm not sure how many hectares we could cover with our build out by 2028.
Yeah.
You may have that number.
Yeah, we're targeting 40,000 wet tons from the 1,000 hectares, which translates to over 10 million hectares of coverage in terms of croplands.
Excellent. Thanks. Are there any other questions?
Bill and Robert,
Yeah.
Understanding the greenhouse gas reductions in your products, help me understand the cash flow implications, because the feeding of your product or the application in the soil, those are the people that would benefit from the reduction, especially if they're able to sell an offset. How does that relate back to your cash flow, specifically to Cascadia?
Yeah, I can. So we've been quite conservative in our model in the use of carbon offsets. In the biostim side, largely because I can't point to the studies yet, although they're coming. On the animal side, we can see the numbers. And of course, there's all the rage or the hype at the moment about use of seaweed to take 90% methane reduction out. We believe seaweed blends will be important. Ultimately, the value prop for the farmer is going to be on the reduction of margins through increased feed efficiency. That's going to sell it to the farmer in terms of the animal farmer. And we believe the reduction of the requirement for nitrogen-based fertilizer in croplands, and without degrading any of the yield. In fact, we may actually see yield improvements even in a regime of less nitrogen fertilizer, because the plants are available uptake natural NPK using seaweed biostim. So it is there. We could put it up. It would be a massive hockey stick, and the science is just not there yet, but we believe it will be within 2 to 5 years.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, we can head over to the next company. Just going to pull it up quickly. And we have our next company presentation from EcoWool.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Jennifer. Just confirming you've unmuted yourself.
Hi, can I?
Again. Okay.
Yep. All right. Should I share screen?
I have your slide deck here. You can just let me know next slide and I'll move it over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, next slide. When most think of wool, images of hats, scarves, sweaters, and soft, buttery merino springs to mind. But Canada's 1 million kilograms of wool is coarse, broken, full of vegetation, and so varied that some of it does not appear to be wool, and it's worth nothing. So less than 3% of Canada's wool that's harvested each year is of clothing quality. The other 97% is coarse waste fiber. EcoWool really wants to change that. Next slide, please. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to use this. And it's not working. There we go.
I'm on the next slide though.
Yeah, no, it's my computer. So what was once a valuable resource is now a looming waste issue. In Canada alone, over 1 million kilograms of wool is produced annually. Globally, it's over 1 billion. Most Canadian wool is dumped, burned, or ends up in landfill. Now, have you ever lifted a wool sweater? If you have, you'll know how heavy it is. Wool absorbs over 30% of its weight in water, comparable with peat that is now used regularly is only about 20%. So peat is a staple in agriculture, but it's unsustainable, and continued use is only compounding our carbon problem. Wool itself is 50% carbon and 10% nitrogen. 1 kilogram of wool can sequester up to 1.8 kilograms of carbon while releasing nitrogen into the soil and aerating the soil. Next slide, please. So our core process at the moment is taking waste wool and making it into pellets to improve the soil. In the next 12 months, we will be processing additional waste products and fibers, removing those materials from the waste stream and turning them into soil nutrients once again. Additional manufacturing processes enable us to move into different industries such as nurseries, greenhouses, orchard, and eventually field crops and restoration planting. Wool is a unique, renewable, regenerative, sustainable, and circular resource, and it will change the future of agriculture by listening to the past. Thank you.
Over to our attendees to ask their questions away.
Jennifer, maybe you could comment on the scale of your operation at this point, how much volume you're doing, and what you're looking for in terms of any raise for like a funding round or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. So at the moment we are at lab scale. So we have initiated research through colleges and universities because none has been done here in Canada, and the international research is quite spotty on wool, although it is very consistent. So our current capacity is 50,000 kilograms a year. We would actually looking to expand that about 4 times with new equipment. So that is our funding at the moment, where we're looking for $250,000 to be able to scale that, have a facility, incorporate some of our current machinery as well as new machinery.
Excellent, thank you. I see a question in the chat there from Grant, who's gone shy for all of a sudden, but he's looking to kind of question around what pilots you've done, what early traction you have with customers, and which markets are you addressing first, I guess, and the potential margins there.
So I'll get to margins right away. At the moment, they are between 50 and 60% on both retail and wholesale. Our initial markets are actually the home market, so kind of peri-urban growers, and that is because we don't have any measurable data or Canadian measurable data. They don't care. The home market, they are just very thrilled that they don't have to water as much, and they're replacing peat to kind of reduce their carbon impact. The first market we are actually actively trying to attract is the nursery industry, because it is a controlled environment. I'm in Ontario, and 2/3 of the nursery industry is in Ontario. So it's about 3 hours away from me. Ontario also has the most sheep. So yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
What kind of crops would it be targeting in the nursery, and if you haven't had any kind of data to show the difference between peat production and wool production, now how would you convince a nursery grower that to abandon peat, which is what they've been using for 30 years, that your substrate is not going to reduce the quality of the plants? Because that would be my biggest concern.
Yeah, so international trials have been done, and generally, so we are looking at tomatoes, lettuce, beans, cucumbers. That's what there's, I think, 6 of them in total, but they're the most common crops. The international trials generally look at about 20% growth increase and improvement, but we really want to see how it works in the Canadian situation, in the Canadian environment. And frankly, this is something that shepherds have known for thousands of years, that if you put wool on soil, everything around it is greener. You can see it within about 2-3 months.
Jennifer, Graham here. You're in making the greenhouse gas claims.
Yes.
Where are you within your 3-year study that is normally required to be published in order to qualify any protocol or any requirement to meet meeting the demand for an offset or a credit?
We haven't started that yet. Where I'm getting my numbers from for the peat are actually the ICUN, because they have a lot of information about peats, and peatlands internationally are known to be an essential natural resource. The wool numbers are actually coming from the IWTO, so the International Wool Textile Organization. So a lot of that has already been done. It's going to take time for us to kind of get the research done, and we are at the very beginning.
Follow-up question then, and this is dealing with private land or crown land. And in Canada, most of peat lands in Canada are crown lands.
Yes.
So right now, how are you going to handle the avoided conversion of peat lands, into manufacturing when there's not a private property right attached to them, and that's a requirement within any carbon offset or carbon credit on the natural side? How do you handle that?
Frankly, it's not something we've actually even looked at yet, because we're not there. We're not necessarily looking for carbon credit at the moment. We are actually just looking at the impact and to stop the peatlands from off-gassing. I think it's 300 hectares or 3,000 hectares in Quebec that are currently being farmed. The peat consortium actually wants to regenerate them, but that is still a very long process. So that is not really something we're focused on right now.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from our team here? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks so much. Good luck with everything going forward. Benita?
Yes, over to the next company presentation. We have Smithereens Mushrooms. I think you have to mute yourself, Marie.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marie Arsenault, co-founder of Smithereens Mushroom, a family-owned mushroom farm and food processor located in northern BC. We understand that environmental pollution is a pressing issue that affects communities worldwide. Contaminated soil and water pose significant challenges. That's where our venture into mycoremediation comes in. At Smithereens, we are exploring the world of mycoremediation, a technique that utilizes the natural power of the fungi to remediate and restore contaminated environments. Through research and development, we aim to harness the potential of mycelium, the underground network of fungi, to effectively break down and absorb various pollutants, transforming them into harmless byproducts. The mycelium is excellent at taking in and breaking down the hydrocarbons. That ability gives it several crucial roles in the forest ecosystem. First, it can break down toxins, making it protective force for the soil and plants around it. Mycelium also sequester a great deal of carbon, which keeps climate warming carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Some fungi can store 70% more carbon than in the soil. Furthermore, the mycelium is able to break some of that stored carbon down into carbohydrates when they act as a nutrients for the soil. What sets us apart is our existing infrastructure and expertise in mushroom production. Our fully operational facilities capable of producing high-quality substrate requiring for this project. Our facilities currently underutilized, providing ample capacity for expanding into mycoremediation without significant capital investment. Additionally, we work with the Master of Food and Resource program at UBC with the graduated students to develop and determine the feasibility of mycoremediation in this exciting new market trend. The market potential is significant as awareness grows they seek for sustainable solution to address pollution and restore ecosystem. So micro-remediation offer a cost-effective alternative solution to traditional remediation method, making it attractive option for various sectors, including agriculture, construction, and waste management. And our competitive advantage lie our approach. We do not only produce the substrate required for micro-remediation, but we also have the capacity to grow the mushroom themselves. And this enables us to maximize the resource by repurposing the spent block for applications such as water filtration. And we are at the beginning of an incredible journey, gathering data, conducting research, and developing a foundation for this project. With investment, we can accelerate our efforts and position ourselves in this emerging market. In conclusion, we are a family-owned mushroom farm and food processor, and we're ready to embrace the future of micro-remediation. And by supporting an innovative, sustainable solution to environmental pollution and positioning yourself at the forefront of a growing market that has potential. So thank you very much for your time. Together, let's make the micro-remediation a reality.
Thank you so much, Marie.
Yeah, maybe you could let us know just in terms of what you're looking to raise, if you're looking to raise funds at this point, and the use of those proceeds. So what you plan to do.
Yeah, so what the funds would be really utilized to try to make some data research. So we need more data. This is really micro-remediation has been a word that's been accepted maybe the past 5 years by the government of Canada. It's a really emerging new thing. So we have little data, and it's why we're working as well with the Master of Food and Resources at UBC to see the market potential, put some pricing on this. We have little data. It's been quite of a journey since we start trying to figure out how we can do it, because everyone knows how to do it, but we don't have any data. So basically for us, an investment would be definitely on working with bioremediation company and start from day one where the contaminated soil is to the end and see the difference. So we can see it on our land, but we do not have formal data at this point. So yeah.
Got it. And you're looking to raise how much?
100K, if not a little bit more. That would be a really good start for us. And it would be definitely different than the food processing and mushroom growing company that we have. So it's a branch out, basically.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marie. I have two questions. Number one, for your micro-remediated product, is this a liquid form? Is this a granularized form? How is it that you're actually going to apply it? And then the second question is how are you going to differentiate the mushroom production part of the company from the micro-remediation? Because those are two very different businesses.
Correct. It's all started with the same start. So it's with the bagging and preparing the mixture, the mushroom food. So for we have two offer for the micro-remediation. We have the burlap bag at the beginning, so you just put that on your soil, or we have the end of our production, food production, which is the spent block. So it's the block that we discard after the fruiting happen. And that we do roll with that for the water filtration. So we also have different strains of mushroom that we use for the micro-remediation. So we basically right now training in our lab, we're training some mushroom to, instead of, they are all wood species lover, but instead of like loving that mix that we have, that we call the master mix, we are training them to eat oil, or like to prefer oil or hydrocarbons. So these strains are really like isolated of our gourmet or food production. So we really separated, but literally it's the same process at the beginning. And we don't have to pasteurize that much or sterilize, like we will sterilize our like for the creation of like the inoculation of the mushroom, but like we don't need to pasteurize as much as if we would go for food production, because it will be outside in the elements, and they we're less worried about contamination. So it's, for us, it's easier in many ways, and with less constraint, I would say.
Thanks, Marie-Eve. Do we have any other questions from the team? We do. Frank is throwing a question in the chat there. I don't know if you can see that, Marie-Eve. What are your ideal remediation projects and size? How are you a better or preferred solution over some others in the market, and who ultimately pays for that?
Yeah, so, and it's funny because it's such a high regulated area when you have like a spill for hydrocarbons. So right now it's more like a solution that we want to offer for farm owners or owner of land, that they can buy a skid of burlap, for example, for an area, or if they want to scoop the dirt but don't move the dirt out, because the problem we have in the North BC, we need to travel like hours with the contaminated soil to a landfill that's for that. So what they could do, and what we've been working with some people, it's that we lay out like some tarp and we add the soil on it and we add the mushroom and we mix everything there. And after a few weeks, we see difference, and we basically let the person who purchased our product to do the work. So we are not we're not involving ourselves right now with facilitating the excavation and things like that. We're just bringing the solution, the end of product.
Got it.
Great, thank you. And so that sounds like very much service remediation. When you look at these problems, how deep is it, and how deep can you get?
It's like, that's what it's part of the markets research that we're doing. So we've been a little bit quiet about that, because we really want to do the right step to able to facilitate that. And we need to do a lot of education regarding this, because even with the local bioremediation person, he didn't even know about microremediation, and he's been in the industry for 20 years. So we know like the mining would be the last that we're going to reach out. But when we talk with environmentalists and biologists, they're really excited about the idea. So.
Excellent. Thanks, Marie-Eve. Hearing no more questions or seeing no others, I think we're good. I think thank you for your presentation, and we'll move along to the next one.
Great. Over to the next company presentation, Tree Track Intelligence.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amir Soleimani. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Tree Track. Here in Tree Track, we're using drone technology, in-house drone technology, and seed pod technology to do reforestation. So what is the problem? The problem is, can we go to next slide, please? Yeah, the problem is that Canada losing 2.5 million hectares per year just because of the wildfire, and the cost of planting these hectares is $3,600 per hectare by traditional tree planting, and the annual cost would be $9 billion if you want to plant all those forests that has been lost because of wildfire. And just this year, as of today, we lost 6 million hectares in all around Canada. And what are the traditional pain points? It's expensive, of course, it's time consuming, and it's rough terrain and hard to access to the rough terrain, and obviously health and safety risk for the tree planters. So what is our solution? The solution that we have a seed pod that has all the ingredients for the seeds that is pre-germinated, and it's in this seed pod. and boost the germination and help for establishment of the seedling. And we have a custom design drone that is designed for reforestation, and it's in-house drone. It's not a commercial drone that you can find it out there. And the company is going to benefit from our services by 20 times faster. Can we, sorry, go to next slide? 20 times faster seeding, and 20 times cheaper and 60 times faster by using our services. And of course, there is no health and safety risk. And I think we freeze with the slides. And then the drone that we have is ready for commercial uses, and the seed pod is ready for the pilot test. And we have, if you can go to next slide, please. And we have a non-diluted funding from the IRAP and the organization and acceleration program, and also research projects with the schools and indigenous communities. Our team is me, I'm the agronomist, and my partner, next slide, please, Sam, who is the mechanical engineering, and Jonathan, who's the environmental scientist. And our goal to raise is raise $500,000 that can give us 18 months runway, and we can achieve 1 million revenue by the end of 2024, and onboarding more people and fine-tuning our technology. And we have a set of mentors that help us, and advisors from schools and industry to help to achieve our goals. And thank you for listening. Is there any question? I'm ready to help. I believe we were behind for some of the slides. Yeah, there are fundraising slides that, to $500,000 is our goal to raise. And as I mentioned, 18 months runway, and we can achieve our $1 million revenue by the end of next year, and onboarding business development professional, and working on our technology, which is SeedPod and the drone technology. Thank you.
Thanks, Amir. In terms of your current scale, I see your team there, but in terms of the technology, what have you deployed to date? And maybe talk a little bit about the scale of those operations. How much can you address with the current capacity there?
Well, a traditional tree planter, on average, they can plant 1,000 trees per day. Like on average, we have better numbers and lower numbers, but with the drone that we have here, we can plant a hectare in 1 hour. So a hectare, on average, you need to plant 1,500 stems or trees. So for a tree planter, it takes 1.5 days to plant that hectare. Depends on the area. If it's rough terrain or hard to access, it's going to change that number. But on average, it's going to be a day and a half. But with our drone, we can drop 1,500 seed pods in 1 hour.
Mayor Graham here. Thank you for your presentation. In your trials, what is your what's your 2-inch or 3-inch tree success rate per 1,000 seeds?
So that's in the pilot test, and right now we defined some research project with Thompson River University and BC also, and also some help from SFU to validate our seed pods. The test that we have in the lab, it's the results are promising. It's around 60-70% germination and establishment of the seed pod. But in the real world, because of we need to wait for the fall to have the rain. So that's our goal to start the real world test in Alex Friesel area, which is partner with UBC of the northern BC, and also Malcolm Forest Research Forest here in Greater Vancouver, and also in with the Grayswell, which is a partnership with the Kamloops in the university, like with Thompson River University in that area. to validate our seed pod. I just want to mention, I was a grower, a tree grower. I was in the nursery growing the trees. So I saw the demand there, and I had that experience from there. And my partner, who's the mechanical designer and who's the designer of this drone, we came up with the idea to drop the seed pod, which is this seed pod. It's 5 grams, and it has all the nutrition, slow release fertilizer, all the bacterial and all the necessary ingredients that a tree needs for germination and establishment. Because as you know, when there's a wildfire, when the temperature exceeds 300 degrees, everything burns, even 5 centimeter of the soil. So we need to boost those areas. And right now, here in Vancouver, next to the West, Vancouver is burning currently. So demand is high, and summer is not started yet, but we lost double of the annual average of the forest just this year.
Just so I'm clear, you've got 2 products. You've got a seed pod something, and you've got a drone technology. So you've got 2 products?
Correct, yeah.
Thanks.
How is it that you address for desiccation of that seed pod? You know, if you're dropping it onto the soil surface and you have to wait a couple of months for rains to come, and if it's not actually going in to get, you know, any type of root establishment, how is it that you're going to avoid these seed pods from drying out, you know, between, you know, the 3 months where you have time to plant and rains to come?
So what we can plant, it's mostly spring and fall that we want to go there and drop the seed pods. And also the seed pod has water retention ingredients. So this seed pod, when we drop it in the field, it's going to be 2 times bigger than what you see right now. It's going to absorb water and expand and holds the water. It can hold the water for 10 days. If we drop it, let's say in spring, and what we experienced this year, a heat dome and no rain. So this seed pod can hold water for 10 days and help this the seedling with water. And as you know, when that seed germinate, first thing that's roots gonna start developing and find their way to the soil, and then the seedling will just sprouting and then come out. But everything is in this seed pod.
Just a question on the competition side of things, Amir. How does Tree Track compare to other companies that are out there doing something similar? There's one called flashforest.ca. How do you compare with them and any other competitors that you're looking at that you're tracking as part of this? Pardon the pun there.
As you mentioned, we have a great competitor, which is called Flash Forest. They're based in Alberta, and there is one in Seattle, which is Mass Reforestation. They're doing a great job. The different, they're using the seed pod, but we don't know their technology is secret such as us. But the drone that they're using is commercial drone, which is called DJI. We all know about DJI, and those are battery drones. So the battery drones, they have limited flight hours, and they are limited with payload. Our drone is hybrid. Our drone is using gas and battery, which gives us with a max payload of 8 kg, 1 hour and 30 minutes flight hours. So we can load the one drone and do 1 hectare in one go and come back and reload with gas. And downtime is almost 5 minutes for our drone. But compared to the battery drones, they are limited. If you go to DJI and check, it says with full payload, it's going to be 5 minutes. So they have to just go do the mission and come back in the middle. But we are able to connect 5 drones at the same time with 1 pilot and go do the mission and come back. However, the commercial, the common drones in the market, they don't have these features that we have.
And the technical innovations that you're looking to introduce with this round of funding, what are they focused on in particular there to advance the solution?
Well, we are, as I said, we are going to do a lot of pilot tests this fall in the real world, and we've just partnered with one of the indigenous communities here in BC to do some pilot in their areas. It's more about entering into market in a commercial size and bringing more people that can fine tune our technology that we have to improve it and get the validation and proof of concept that we are ready to go to the market. And I have a great news today. We're going to meet the Minister of the Forestry of BC afternoon and ask them for some pilot tests of the areas that just recently burned.
Excellent. Well, good luck with the conversation this afternoon with the Minister of Forestry there. That's excellent. Any other questions at all from the floor? Just doesn't sound like it. So thanks, Amir. Who's up next? Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, over to our next company presentation, Maya Farms.
Okay, you can go to the next slide there, Benita. Okay, so good morning, everybody. My name is Gavin, CEO and co-founder of Maya Farms. Today, I want to talk to you about a global issue we face, the problem of protein production. There are 8 billion people on our planet, each requiring 50 to 100 grams of protein every day, and we need innovative solutions to feed them. Our current reliance on cows, chickens, and pigs is unsustainable on our resource-depleted planet. 130 years ago, the world was grappling with a similar problem. City streets were congested with horse manure until new technology made travel by horse uneconomic. Today, at Maya Farms, we are at the forefront of building a new pillar of protein using fungi and technology. When the Canadian Space Agency approached us to feed astronauts on their missions to the Moon and Mars, we embarked on a 2-year journey. We focused on growing mycelium, the root structure of mushrooms, to fuel our exploration of other planets. Through the magic of fermentation, we are paving the way for a future where our reliance on animal-based meat is significantly reduced. Next slide. Maya Farms is a B2B producer of a high-protein, fibrous food ingredient for manufacturers creating meatless and blended products. Our farm uses a simple and efficient process of biomass fermentation, allowing us to produce mushroom protein in 7 days using minimal ingredients. As it stands, plant-based meat products are underperforming, bitter, excessive processing, and lacking the desired texture. This is where we come in. Our product, CanPro, made from mycelium, is a foundational ingredient. It's a safe, natural, and complete protein that enhances taste and texture while reducing the need for additional ingredients. We help food manufacturers create products that customers will truly love. Our first customer, a major player with distribution across the Canadian grocery market, has been searching for a mycelium producer to replace soy protein for 8 long years. The demand for our product is so high that our American competitor, the Better Meat Co., admits that even if both companies built 100 mycelium factories, we would still not satisfy 1% of the North American demand. Next slide. What sets us apart is our exceptional team, a farmer, an engineer, and a neuroscientist. We bring a unique perspective to the table. We use our hands, heads, and hearts to build a better future. We have strategic partnerships with institutions across Canada, including the National Research Council, the Saskatchewan Food Development Industry, and the Canadian Space Agency. These collaborations enable us to continuously improve our formula and production process. We are actively scaling our production and reducing prices below that of animal protein by leveraging the economies of scale and biomass fermentation. We combine grain, water, sugar, and an optimized species of mycelium and harvest CanPro with a 65% gross margin. The product has higher protein density than red meat and superior digestibility to plant-based alternatives. CanPro is a shelf stable for 12 months and can be shipped globally. In summary, farming fungal protein is the economic, ethical, and essential choice for a sustainable planet. Thank you.
Thanks, Gavin. Excellent work that you're doing there. Massive market potential. Where are you at in terms of those relationships with the food producers at this point?
We have orders for 50,000 kilograms with 2 local food manufacturers. Well, actually 3. And then we have 2 other large names that are receiving product deliveries this week, actually.
And where are you at in terms of your? Oh, sorry, were you going to add?
Oh, I was going to say the big one that we're working with is a company called Big Mountain Foods. You've probably seen their products in Safeway and a superstore, and so they're going to be integrating this product into some patties and sausages and kind of working with them probably until November, kind of December, just to make sure that the ingredient works well with them.
And does it actually change the taste at all when it goes into these products, or?
Yes, it'll dramatically improve it, and they'll be able to reduce the number of ingredients that they have.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've done that through user studies, or?
We've done our own kind of testing here with the product, but yeah, like it's in their hands now. So we're focused on making the ingredient and let them figure out the consumer packaged goods. But we're going to work closely with them to understand the ingredient from delivery to the end product, just so we have the full understanding.
Mm-hmm. And where are you at right now in your kind of rounds of funding, and what is your plan around that? What valuation are you looking at, and use of funds there?
So we're raising a $1.2 million pre-seed round. In the last 3 weeks, I've closed half of that with some private investors and agritech investors. So the other half is still ongoing right now. So if anybody's interested, let me know. What we're going to do with this money over the next few months is we're going to kind of secure some IP around the production process and the end product. We're going to scale up our production capacity at the Saskatchewan Food Development Institute. And we're going to hire 3 more scientists onto the team. So those are kind of the 3 big things that we're going to do with the money.
Okay, and part of that funds the commercial kind of build out for the proof of concept then?
So we'll be doing the design and engineering. So typical kind of scale up for this process is 10, 100 liter, 1,000 liter, 10,000 liter, and then 100,000 liter plus. So we're going to go with these contract manufacturers, we're going to go to the 10,000 liter scale. And then we're going to be doing the design and engineering for our commercial 100,000 liter plus facility, which we will then start construction in 2024. So we're designing and engineering the much bigger facility, and this allows us to reduce the risk. And this is on a safe round with a $6.2 million valuation cap.
Got it. Excellent. Open it up for any other questions.
If anybody wants to try it, come out to North Vancouver, and we've got a couple hundred kilograms.
Yeah, you are local to some of us.
Yes.
In terms of follow on from there, Gavin, in terms of that scale up, do you have a view of what it would take to get to that next level in terms of investment, subsequent rounds?
Yeah, so to build the 100,000 liter plus commercial facility, the reason why we want to make that big jump to the larger scale production is that anybody who is producing over 10,000 liters of capacity takes up 80% of the market. And then the guys that are under that 10,000 liters are kind of fighting for that 20%. So we really want to tackle the much bigger opportunity here. And that facility is going to cost in the $10 to $30 million range. It's really depending on location and how big we go with it. But yeah, it'll be a large project.
Gavin, I'm curious about your strategy to attract more manufacturers or processors beside, beyond the sort of the group that you currently have? What's your game plan there?
So what I see over the next year, we're going to focus on the Western North American market. So BC, Alberta, Oregon, California. But I do see, because this is a shippable product, like any type of grain, we do see that there's going to be a huge demand in Mexico and in particular Southeast Asia as well. So that's probably a 2026 kind of play to start looking at international exports there. But that's definitely the long-term vision, is that we're going to where the protein growth demands are, and that's largely really in developing economies.
Gavin, great presentation, and great question. So it was hard to think about something new and interesting to ask, but tell us a little bit about which products that is currently being made are you most excited about because it tastes amazing?
Well, I think that I want to find somebody that wants to make really a full steak out of this product. And because I think, that as a, kind of Southern Alberta kind of farm rancher kid myself, I want to be able to see that we could do something, a near replicate of a beef steak. So that's kind of what I'm going to push somebody to develop. But there's some the first products, which will be the easiest ones, are going to be the sausages and the burger patties. But we've had a lot of people say we should make a breakfast cereal and granola bars out of it. So it's there's a lot of possibilities for this ingredient, and I think that we want to let other people get creative with it and enable that future to happen, because right now the limitation is not necessarily the demand, it's the production capacity. And so the North American fermentation capacity for this type of product is sitting at about 16 million liters. And if we want to hit 1% of the North American demand, we need to scale that to 120 million liters. So there's just a huge negative space happening right now between what people want, and we know the economics work of this production system, and what's actually possible to produce. So we want to lead Canada in this production realm.
Perfect. And so thinking about your $10 to $13 million plant, who are you envisaging as your potential industry partners that would be able to help you make that infrastructure investment?
I'd love FCC, to get involved, and BDC as well. We've had some conversations with them as well. But it's that's a big project, and once we finish this $1.2 million round, that's where I start on that next phase, is really looking at that. And because we want to move fast, and we're gonna have the designs and engineering done for that hopefully by December.
Excellent stuff. Super exciting.
Do you have an FCC contact, Gavin?
I would like another one.
Yeah, reach out to me down the road. It's a pretty simple email address, darren.sauer@fcc.ca.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You
bet. Excellent. Yeah, similar. I was just saying that, Gavin, super exciting stuff. I think definitely in a very interesting space, much needed, not just for this planet but beyond. So congrats on what you've done to date, and good luck going forward there. So
thank you.
Okay, cool. Bonita, back to you.
Thank you. Over to our next company presentation, Avo Initiative.
Hello. My name is Jacob. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. Sorry, I was muted, so I just unmuted. So I'm the president of Avo Initiative Limited. We can go to the next slide. Basically, what we're doing is we are collecting avocado seeds that are currently just thrown away by the whole agri-food industry. And we're upcycling them into a tea. So it's a very simple tea. It's kind of like green tea, just less bitter, slightly sweet. very mild, but it's very calming. So yeah, that's the core foundations of the business. And we can just go to the next slide. So basically our product lines vary. We have our base tea, which is the shredded roasted avocado seed that holds very well, like over about a 2-year period. So it's very shippable. But we add this in to kind of buffer out the other flavors. It also adds a bit of depth and accents some of these flavors that you see up here on the side. So for those who don't like mild teas or green teas, we kind of mixed it in with an array of different flavors to attract different consumers so they can enjoy kind of like their favorite cup of tea while still enjoying the benefits of the avocado seed. Real quick, the benefits, they seem to be in animal studies because there's not been a human trial yet. Hypocholesterolemic, hypotensive, anti-diabetic, and hypoglycemic. Anyway, moving on, please. So we try to be sustainable as much as we can. Our goal is to help finance the sustainable development goals in every way, shape, or form we possibly can. So our strategy is to tap the seed potential in terms of how much revenue can be generated from the public or business-to-business transactions, and building our brand awareness so that people can have a kind of a familiar touch point and access point to directly have their effect in the world on supporting the sustainable development goals with us and learning as well. So from our packaging to our suppliers, we try to cut waste as much as we possibly can and access all of any and all of the affordable sustainable solutions that have to do with the facets that make us run our company. So the inputs. And yeah, our purpose mainly focused right now on decarbonization and soil degradation, I think would be the first 2 main goals for us. Moving on, please. So yeah, that kind of concludes it, guys. It's a very simple product. It's a very simple business model. Essentially, what we are doing here with the agriNEXT program is attempting to learn more about what's going on in the agri-food industry, the technologies involved, and then also looking to access some funding. So currently, the funding right now that we'll be looking for is fairly small. It's $25,000 to around $75,000. And we are also applying for many grants, so we would be putting that money up against toward accessing grants as well to kind of boost our production capabilities, finalize our commercial packaging, and accelerate our sales activities. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jacob. Is this available right now? I could do with a little bit of calming tea and in my life. And
it is available right now.
We can buy it online or in store. Where is it available?
www.myavotea.com. You're more than welcome to visit the website and purchase whatever you desire.
Okay. And what is your, I would imagine the concerns that are around kind of supply in terms of the seeds themselves. I mean, how readily available are they, and how do you source them?
Yep. So basically getting started, I just went to restaurants in Ottawa. Basically, you can get this started in pretty much any city, any developed city that has a high demand for avocados. So generally to start it off, you just approach a business and then speak to their manager and then gain access to their kitchen. And then I supply them with a bucket and they just kind of give me the seeds. I offer some sort of payment plan. I'm usually rejected on that. So they're just happy to get rid of the waste. So that does reduce their cost on waste. So then I bring that to my facility, wash it, shred it, roast it, and my product is done. How accessible are the seeds? It's very easy to acquire them. And there are many, like, I mean, for scaling the product, it can be difficult. You obviously need to make the right connections and make the right steps first, but guacamole producers are a great place to start. There's people who make bioplastics out of the avocado seeds as well that have overflow. And like avocado oils and stuff like that, like cooking oils. And now it's in like, you know, you can buy them frozen and halved. So like from Cisco. So there's like many industries that are just basically producing all these wonderful products from the flesh, from its high nutritional value and its availability, and just throwing the seed away.
Mm-hmm. And do you use 100% of the seed that you recover then and upcycle?
That's right. We use 100% of it.
Yeah. Okay. and capacity right now? How much can you produce?
Right now, like from today, we had the capacity prior to produce around, we were collecting around like 1,600 seeds per week, and that was enough to generate like 5K worth of revenue. That was over the summertime, and we only did our sales, like our actual like promotion and sales at farmers markets to start off. We were able to comfortably supply every week to all the farmers markets that we had. We had about 5 on one day and 4 on the next. In our first year, just by supplying from 23 restaurants in Ottawa, we raised it was 22,000 in revenue off a 3-man team. And then in 2022, we made pretty much 67,000 in revenue. So total 2 years from startup, like from beginning of sales, 92,000, almost $100,000. So there's tons of profitability in the product, especially since it's fairly cheap to acquire. But our volume is like, the thing is that the seed, when you acquire it, it's still fairly hydrated. So after you reduce the amount of weight, it's about 50% through the processing to make our dry blended good. It's 50% water weight we lose. However, the seed is rather bitter, so we kind of lose that bitterness in the process. So our competitors haven't figured that out yet, which is kind of interesting. But our yield is the same per volume, right? So we don't, although we lose mass, we don't lose volume. So there's still fairly, like, one seed can do like 3 to 4 cups of tea, like depending on how many grams it is. But yeah. Got it. Yeah.
And when you think about expansion, are you thinking about a kind of a distributed model where this is going to be in multiple locations? Is that all going to be under your house, or is that going to be like franchised out? How have you thought about some of that expansion side of things?
I mean, I like to remain in control, only because, like, I'm happy to do partnerships and stuff like that. I think that anybody who's upcycling anything or creating any sort of sustainable solution is direly needed. So the way that I envision it myself is that there would be a few facilities close by to, where these other products are being produced, or even if those people can produce it for a price as well. Still under the guide, like the least amount of like moving it
correct
around
is going to be
unnecessary. It's unnecessary, number one, because it doesn't take a lot of equipment to produce this. It's fairly rapid process, which is not time consuming whatsoever. So adding transportation is irrational. And the startup cost for a facility, what is needed to like supply, I don't know, our customers in Ottawa, like we would need, a number of ovens and probably like 3 shredders, and like a full-time staff of, 2 to 3 people to continuously produce this product.
So you could do it local to where those producers are existing today, offer a system that goes in and operates there alongside what they're currently doing today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The growth, but like for producing the product, it's very, very easy. Very easy to produce it. It doesn't take a lot of inputs at all. We just need a seed, a shredder, and an oven, and it's done. So it's a very rapid way to finance, and it's very light, so it's easy to ship. You can ship volumes of it at 50% weight that you acquire them. So the way I envision it is obviously other people hopping on board and making it as sustainable of a supply chain as I possibly can with the available technologies. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Just checking to see if anybody else has any questions at all, but we probably need to move on, Benita.
We do, just because we want to be conscious of time. We have our last company.
Thanks, Jacob.
And our last company presentation, last but not least, is Green Tower Systems. Over to you. I think you're muted still. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rodrigo Santana. I'm the founder and managing partner of Green Tower Systems. We are an early stage ag tech startup based in BC, Chilliwack. We have expertise in berries, plant breeding, and genomics, and also precision control indoor agriculture. Next slide, please. The problem we're trying to solve is that 80% of fresh fruits consumed in Canada, they're imported. Just strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries alone, they represent about $1.3 billion market of import value every year. And the local berries production is seasonal. We only produce during 3 months per year, and alone cannot meet the required demand. One problem, or the biggest problem, is that these imported berries compared to local berries, they are more expensive, up to 5 times higher prices. They have lower quality in regards to flavor, appearance, shelf life. They are not always available in the grocery store because of supply chain issues. In addition, imported berries, they are produced via unsustainable farming practices. Excessive use of pesticides, water, wastes, sometimes poor food safety. They also do early harvesting. They need to harvest 5 to 6 weeks before arrival, and that early harvesting has an impact on food quality as well. And the long distance transports also results in high carbon footprint from food mileage. So this problem is not just a Canadian problem. Those issues happen in other extreme weather regions across the globe. They face similar challenge. Next slide, please. So the solution is really to increase the local production, right? It's quite simple, but how do you do it? How can we have local production year-round in Canada's extreme weather conditions? There are some semi-controlled environments such as greenhouses and tunnels, but they have limited ability to extend the production season. Our solution is a fully controlled environment production system developed by applying plant genetics, physiological manipulation, and use of precision control environment agriculture. By getting those 3 elements together, we are going to be able to optimize fruit yield and quality, per unit space, and energy costs. Energy costs would be the biggest operational cost of such a system, close to 40% sometimes. So the plant genetics is going to help us to enhance desirable traits, such as fruit flavor, the architecture of the plant as well. The physiological manipulations, such as light and temperature protocols, they will speed up the plant development and productivity. We actually estimate that within that system, we're going to have 5 times higher yields compared to traditional farming. And our precision control environment indoor growing platform will bring the required homogeneity, scalability, and unit economics. So once we validate this solution of blueberries, which is the most challenged berry because of its complexity, we'll replicate that to this model to other berries. The next one will be raspberry. So we're looking firstly in the high order plants. Next slide. So we are currently conducting proof of concept experiments with our project partners. We have partnership with the biggest global blueberry breeding programs. We're working as well with Simon Fraser University and other partners. So far, we have secured about $1.2 million, and we are looking for an additional $500,000 of non-dilution funds to accelerate our proof of concept experiments. We open for equity investments, however, only for strategic investors that could add value to our proof of concept validations. So our ultimate goal is to design, build, and operate the first precision controlled blueberry indoor farm in the world in the next 3 years. Thanks. Any questions?
Excellent. Thanks, Rodrigo.
Welcome.
Exciting journey that you're on there, and obviously there's a growing kind of interest in indoor production of various kinds. So in terms of the berries, the different, obviously there's a different quality in terms of the timeline that they take from the local production to the home. The nutritional value of those products is substantial. Have you looked at those elements of it at all in terms of what that nutrition density of the produce is compared with what we might import at different times of year?
Well, yes, we have done some studies working with Simon Fraser, and even from a consumer standpoint, you can actually feel the difference, right? When you buy berries off season, the flavor is not the same. The shelf life is not the same as well. So there is a clear difference between both products.
Yeah. Excellent. Any questions from the group at all?
I got a question here on kind of where the business is positioned and like, are you planning to be a supplier of the technology, supplier of potentially, modified plant genetics, a farmer of the actual berries themselves? Like that didn't really kind of come clear to me as to how you plan to commercialize, and where do you guys make money in the value chain here?
Yeah, it's not very clear to you because for us, it's also not very clear yet. Like I mentioned, we are very early stages. But what we're trying to do first is to design a system. And the system involves the plant science side, but also the indoor growing platform. Ideally, what we'd like to do, we'd like to own and operate our first commercial system via partnership with an early adopter. We actually have a potential early adopter here in British Columbia, one of the biggest blueberry producers in the province. But we want to go first through the learning curve of how to design, build, and operate a large-scale facility. But I think moving forward, because we envision to have those facilities across Canada and who knows across the globe, we have been talking about what would be the best business model, but I think it would be sell a turnkey production system, right? Where by working with the blueberry breeding programs, we're going to be able to either design new varieties or actually license with exclusivity the existing varieties, the outdoor varieties that we can actually use for indoors. So for our clients, we would provide the system, the plants, the right consumables, the right growing platform, the right indoor farming operating procedures. So it will be that package where we could be charging a mix of a license, right? Applies the whole system. You buy the system and then you have the ongoing support with a license. So that's how we see the business model, which is no different from your typical technology provider for indoor farming.
And did you guys receive funding from the Weston Foundation on the berry program that they had last year?
I'm not allowed to say. Yes, they have asked us not to publicly announce until February, until August, I think. But internally on conversation, we can mention offline, yes, we were one of the 10 projects awarded the $1 million. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Rodrigo. Thanks for the questions. I think we're kind of running out of time here, so we'll have to move on. But I encourage everyone to kind of connect with Rodrigo and the other companies that have presented today. Benito, I'll hand it over to you to wrap.
Thank you so much. A huge shout out once again to our founding partner, Farm Credit Canada, for, without them, the agriNEXT program wouldn't exist to support all of these fantastic companies. Just a few words on my end. It's been so wonderful to learn more about your companies, your products, and your solutions through this cohort, and I hope that you got some valuable information and context through this programming. Looking forward to keeping in touch and still connecting with you through our agriNEXT network, as well as through the Foresight network generally. We do have additional programming and supports through our network advisory group that we want to keep sharing with our ag tech companies. Just before everyone leaves, I just wanted to mention the Foresight 50. Foresight 50 shines a spotlight on compelling climate solutions by recognizing Canada's 50 most investable clean tech ventures. Our 2021 companies raised almost $600 million. Our 2022 cohort was featured in over 900 international media hits, and our 2023 applications are now open. So applications closed July 21st, 2023. I highly recommend that you apply or encourage the other companies in your network to apply as well. I think that's it. Feel free to connect with Craig and myself if you're interested in hearing more about the agriNEXT programming or any of our AgTech ventures in this cohort. I will be sharing some information through email, including a short little pitch book document of our companies that pitched today, as well as their contact information. And if there's any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, I will let everyone go and enjoy the rest of your day.